My name is Bassam Al-Saba. I'm originally from Iraq. My family moved to Ireland in 2003, and for the past few years I've been living between Dublin and Belfast. For me, I was a teenager growing up in Balbriggan, and I didn't necessarily have easy access to galleries or museums. There was a really great community online that was uploading artist films and videos. I was able to interact with artists such as Namjoon Paik, John Waters, Kenneth Anger, and Irish artist Vivian Dick. At the time, I didn't necessarily understand that I was looking at artworks. I was just interested in film and video. But over time, and as I've grown up as an artist, they've become really important to me, and I continuously look back on them. And as I have learned more about art history, I understand how important those works were and how great it was for me to be able to view them and interact with them. I decided to become an artist because in my final year in school, I went to a few open days in colleges and universities, and I remember being really interested in the art colleges that I went to, because to me it seemed that that's where people were making really interesting things that were really engaging and fascinating to me. I do remember not necessarily understanding what it meant to be an artist, but I went home and I researched different artists, and I remember going to a few galleries in Dublin, and I was really interested in the work that I was seeing and how artists get to produce work that followed their interests and get to engage with a lot of different processes. So for my final year, I was working on a portfolio that I was working on a lot of different paintings and sculptures and some video and photographs. And I remember at that point that that's what I would like to do in university. So I applied to all the colleges in Dublin, and I eventually got into IADT, where I did a lot of painting and print. And in my final year, I started working with video because I was working in a 3D printing center. And that's where I started engaging with a lot of CGI and computer generated imagery, which has really been impactful on my practice today. For me, I'm really interested in using a lot of different mediums, from film to painting and sculpture. The last exhibition I was working on in Solstice Art Centre, I was really interested in rug making. So for a period of about 6 months, I was researching how rugs are produced, and by the end, I was able to produce a series of 6 wool-tufted rugs. For me, I find that there's always a difficult learning curve with taking on a new process. But for me, I find that that's where I'm able to be creative in learning about a new process and then executing it in my own way. I'm currently learning about bead weaving, and I'm producing a bead weaving that consists of 30,000 beads. And I'm trying to depict these CGI images within the beadings. And at the same time, I'm learning about motion capture footage and how I'm able to produce my own and then use it within the CGI film I'm currently working on. Most days, I try to get into the studio pretty early and work on whatever application and emails I have to get done that day so that I can have the rest of the day to work uninterrupted on the work that I'm making. Day to day, my work changes in the studio from producing work to researching different methods or processes. At the moment, I'm researching a lot of different open software that can produce motion capture footage that I'm then able to use in the CGI films that I'm making. For me, it can be pretty difficult to balance the learning and the working as well as the application and writing side of being an artist, but over the last few years, I've come to really trust in the process and enjoy the quiet learning as well as the really active production of work. This year, I had a few projects get postponed, and while on quarantine, I've been trying to develop work from home, but I've definitely found that to be a little bit restricting and limiting just in terms of how big and messy the work can become. So I'm really excited to get back into the studio and have the freedom to make work as big or as messy as I can. Just in terms of working from home, some things I just wasn't able to do. We don't have a huge space that I can make work in. And also some of the processes that I use can be quite toxic in a home environment, such as oil painting and resin casting. So I'm really excited to get back into the studio and continue developing the work that I'm working on and seeing where it leads me. For me, the best thing about being an artist is being able to go into the studio every day. Making mistakes and taking risks is something that I've become very fond of in my work. You also get to be part of a really great community with people who are really supportive, and you get to work with people who are really interesting and inspiring every day. And as my career has progressed, I'm able to travel and see the world with my work. And it's also really great to be able to produce a body of work over a long period of time and then see it come together in an exhibition and see people engage with it.